What you're hearing is Hardy Fiber Cement Siding living up to its reputation as the siding that helps resist weather damage, no matter what Mother Nature throws its way. James Hardy knows how important a reputation is, especially when you're a home builder. That's why Hardy products withstand the elements better than wood-based siding, with styles to match their strength. Because when home builders work with us, we deliver our best so they can look their best. Protect your reputation with exterior products by James Hardy.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today, I have my co-host, Barb, here with me. Are you there, Barbara?
I am so here and happy to be here because we have one of my favorites on, Sunshine Frost.
Hello.
Hello, Sunshine. How are you?
Hello,
Johnny,
everybody. I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, yes, I'm just so glad, too. And I love the format we're going to go with tonight. You have a lot to discuss about. Johnny's going to tell everybody what our exciting topic is. Go ahead, Johnny.
Well, our topic is going to be past life downloads. Now, you said this is kind of original, that nobody else is really doing this. Is that accurate? And since you were last here, you got your doctorate. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We knew you were going up for that. Congratulations. Another goal attained, Sunshine Frost. Awesome.
Yeah, so Spirit Doctor Sunshine Frost.
Okay, let's do it. Of course. I love that,
so,
Dr. Sunshine Frost.
Yeah, past lives are so interesting. And you guys know I've been a channel medium for many years, about 15 years. And recently, probably in the last year or so, I started to accept the reality of past lives. I had some religious background that had blocked me from really allowing myself to channel in that direction. But I had a very powerful experience when I was doing a reading for a client where I had seen that this woman who had constant and consistent back pain, and I had read somewhere that they said that a lot of these disorders could be linked to past life trauma. So I actually, in this particular reading, the woman kept saying, I just keep dealing with this back problem. I go get x-rays, I get MRIs, I get all of these doctors to tell me there's nothing wrong. We cannot find anything wrong with me. So she came to me and said, could you please just do a reading and ask my angels and guides if there's something that I'm missing? So I kind of did a mediumship on her, right, Barb, right, Johnny? I did a mediumship. It was a medical mediumship on her, thinking that, I'll find what's wrong with her. And it turned out that it wasn't from this life. An actual very first past life download came filling into my mind, and I was able to give her dates, details, exactly what had happened to her.
Then what does she do with this information? Is she able to heal with it?
Yeah, so her back and her neck problem had come from having scoliosis she was born in the very late 1800s, and back then her father had only 3 daughters, and he did not like the fact of his daughter being disabled, and he definitely didn't want her to be unmarriable. So he forced a garment designer to put a steel rod in her corset. Since she was 7 years old, she had to wear a corset with steel rods in it.
Oh, God.
And it was, it had dislocated her ribs. Yeah, that's what he had done to her, and he had made her live like that till she was 17. And she had dislocated ribs on the right side from these rods pushing on her spine because they didn't have proper treatments back then for this disorder, and he didn't want to acknowledge what his daughter needed. So she would have these steel rods put down in her corset, and there was a lot of and guess what? She had the same father in this life.
Oh.
The same father. No. She had been reborn to him, and she had finally separated ways. But in that past life download, it was said to her that, we can't marry this one off, but we can marry off the older sister. And in this life, her older sister got married before her, and he also said, we'll never marry you off with your attitude. And it was the same words, but it had hurt her and scarred her so badly, she was 37 or 38 when I met her, and she'd never married because of those words playing back in her mind. So she was very devastated with the information. She actually was sexually assaulted in that life. And she told her father she was sexually assaulted, and the father said to her, who would ever want to be with you? And he actually did not believe her, and he didn't protect her. So she ran away from home and worked in a it was a laundry service back then in the 1800s. It was a laundry service. She worked with a laundry service and then got into, as a cook and a waitress, into a saloon, kind of a kitchen with a bar on one side, sort of like an old-timey saloon. And actually, she ended up getting pushed into prostitution within about 6 months of her being almost on the streets. And she actually died of an overdose of some sort of alcohol or a opioid, like
I was going to think
opium.
about. Okay, so that was in the past life, and you were able to see all of that. Oh,
all of it within one download. All of it came through, and she was crying. She said, everything you said. She had gotten into strip club work when she ran away from her father's house. She was with an abusive man that put his hands on her. Same thing that happened in that life. She had him prosecuted, though, in this life, which she didn't have him prosecuted in that life. She went into the strip club industry. She did get into drugs and became an alcoholic. She had cleared herself of that when I met her. She had quit drinking at like 32. So she had really started discovering how to heal herself, but she had never went back. So we started doing these healings. I am a Reiki master, 3-time Reiki master. So I am a master of quantum Reiki. I'm a master of Usui Reiki. And I'm a master of Holy Fire Reiki. And Reiki is a type of energetic healing for the body and for the energy field.
Do you have to do this in person?
No.
Good.
I've never seen any of my clients in person. I closed my studio during COVID, and I've been able to see really about 50,000 different messages and healings and stuff all over the place. We do them all over because we do them every night on my show. I do live readings on my YouTube and my TikTok. Then I also
hear
do live readings.
It's a physical thing. That drum instructor I had, he told me that this guy paid him for lessons with his Reiki master gift, and he was getting it once a week from this guy, and he said it was amazing how the guy didn't even touch his body, just put the hands around him, and then he could just feel so many toxins just like go away, lift off, or go. Explain that. How does this work without touching?
Well, the touching is the physical, and the touching is physical. So we're not working in the physical. In between you and I right now, Barbara and Jonathan, and all the listeners, we believe that there's just air around us, right? There's just nothing but air between you and I.
We're not aware.
Yeah.
We're not aware, but what is around us?
So there is a fluid-like substance. It's called ether.
Oh.
And it is a fluid-like substance that allows all energetic particles to move through it like water.
Yes, and that's why they say through the ether. You can feel it through the ether.
Yes, exactly. And so when we think about it, even this show is made possible by the Internet, the super web, right? It's actually traveling from satellites and then bouncing off of your Wi-Fi and bouncing off of your phone. The same way we cannot see Wi-Fi, but we know it exists because we get the benefits of it. That's the way Reiki energy healing works.
That's
a lot of people.
Explain that, Sunshine. That is such a great way, because if all that could happen with something we cannot see or really touch, then why can't we get our body cleared out the same way?
It's true. I mean, I'm in California, but people are hearing this all over the world thanks to the opportunity of energy moving through the ether, whether it's radio waves, microwaves, or satellite waves. It's all working the same way.
Okay, so let's take advantage of it, people.
So
and you should contact Sunshine Frost at sunshinefrost.com. Where do they push to book you and make an appointment for this?
So, number one, I don't heal for anybody that I don't read for. So I do a session, and I record that session. I go into, to get a past life download, like let's say me and you were going to do one, Miss Barbara, and I've actually been very interested to do a past life download for you because you have a very dynamic energy, a lot of gifts. In this life, I don't think you developed all of them in this life. I think there's definitely some carryover with your musical talents, your ability to entertain, your gardening. There's just a lot about you that's your mothering. You're very dynamic as a woman, and I'd like to see what some of your past life carryover might be.
That's
let's
right.
say that
I
you're
get
just
confused. Thank God for people like you, or thank God for you, probably the best I know at this. Thank God for you to sort it out, because I'm so confused. I don't know where things are coming from, and I often think, is this from a past life, and how can I learn from this? And sometimes I wish that I hope I come back as a child again with the same mean stepfather so that I could stand up to him, you know? I wish.
Right.
It sounds like this other lady hasn't really learned too much from her past lives. So I think that's kind of the moral of the story. But you go ahead now with whatever you were doing.
So energetically, just to talk about the healing one more time, energetically, we have an energy body. We have our physical body, which we're very used to. We're accustomed to identifying with that. But underneath your body, you have an energetic body. And all I have to do is use my energetic body as a channel, like plugging into an electrical cord and allowing that extension cord to run through me to you. And it's through energy, and you may feel things like warmth. I've had clients feel the sensation of water being poured down their back. I've had pen pricks, but not painful, just showing that the energy's moving into that area. I've had clients that have felt swirling. They have felt flushing. They have felt emotional, like they want to cry, which is very good in healing. I've had clients that have felt hugs, kind of every little, what we feel in the physical, but just a less intense sensation of those same things as the energy is enveloping them, healing them, loving them, removing, releasing, and helping them clear these things. It definitely makes a huge difference. So the lady that I was referring to in my past life reading, she did finally prosecute an abuser. She got out of addiction. She got out of alcoholism. She did get out of the traumatic relationship with the father, and she's really thriving. And we've done many sessions together. So I work with 13 chakras. The average person works with 7. So I work with more than the average. And what I do is I work above the head, and I go through the whole body all the way down to the feet. And the past life downloads, how they are different. So there are a lot of past life regressionists. People do past life regression. It means they go into a hypnotic state and they have somebody work with them in person in the physical world. It's a very great technique. It's called quantum healing hypnotic technique, and it was made by Dolores Cannon, and she was terrific as a hypnotherapist for bringing people back to their past lives. And I actually get a lot of clients that have done past life hypnosis, but they didn't actually get the point of it. So they did it, and, they would drop into different lifetimes, right, Barb? They would just see that they were, they worked in China, or they worked in the United States, or they were in the Old West, or they were in England. They would drop into these different lifetimes, but when they got back from that experience, a lot of them told me that they didn't really understand the purpose of that life, and they didn't really get the lessons of that life. So they came to me. This woman specifically had 10, she had already been dropped into 10 past lives, and she said, but no one ever helped me process what I was supposed to have learned and what energy was still stuck on me until I met you.
Oh, thank goodness. And, well, she actually, has some way. So thank God for this therapy and sharing that. Well, who wouldn't want this? I mean, why wouldn't somebody want to be cleansed of some of these things? Is this kind of like cutting the cord, too, or it's actually plugging in the cord with you?
I kind of picture it like a flag. If you take a flag and you're trying to let the flag wave in the wind, but then you staple one corner to the fence, and then you staple a piece in the middle of the flag to the fence, and maybe you staple another edge, half of your flag is going to be moving, but the other pieces are going to be stuck where those staples are. That's what your energy is doing. So no matter how much energy you're trying to give to heal yourself, or you're trying to give to get out of a narcissistic abusive relationship, or no matter how much you're trying to change a dynamic with you and a parent that you just don't get along with, or maybe you have a work situation you cannot seem to get past, I go back and I pull those staples out. And so what essentially is happening is, and let me tell you, in about 92% of the clients I've seen for past life downloads, not regression, I do not do regression. My downloads take 45 minutes to an hour, where a regression takes 4 to 6 hours. And they have to do it in person, and I do not hypnotically take anyone out of themselves. When I do the download, they're just like I'm talking to you right now, except I'm in the channel trance state. So I take myself to their past life. They don't actually have to do anything but just be receptive, listen to the information. We record it on a download so they can have it later, so they can work through that trauma either with me or another type of specialist or another type of healer. So it's not only for myself to benefit from, it's for the client's benefit. They can take that download and that information, that recording, and they can come back to me or go to any source that they want to help themselves heal.
Oh, this is fabulous. Oh, I think, why not?
Now, how long does it take that you... Sorry, go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
What were you going to say,
Jonathan? How long
Jonathan?
does this session take? How long does this take usually?
It's 45 minutes to an hour. I've had it go as long when I'm in a channel state. So what I do is I connect to a person. Let's just say me and you are going to do one. I would ask you certain questions in your intake. The questions I ask my clients, do you have any chronic pain or diseases or illnesses that you are fighting right now or have been fighting throughout your life? And I have found that a lot of reoccurring cancers are huge for past life trauma. I have found reoccurring tuberculosis. I had a woman that died of TB, and she now has reoccurrent cases of TB. I've had clients that's had injuries in the spine. They have injuries in the spine. I've had women that have lost babies to botched abortions, and now they're infertile in this life. I've had women that have had many children without any say-so, and in this life they have infertility. They don't even want kids. They don't realize they made a soul contract for that. So going back is really like moving forward.
That is
so
very
when
scary.
When I do the interview, I will ask, what's that, Jonathan?
No, it's Barbara. I was
saying
that's it. I am saying that, this is Barbara, I was saying that is interesting with the kid thing, so they're basically resisting getting pregnant because they don't realize they have signed a soul contract, so the soul that wants to come be born out of their body cannot. Is that soul stuck then as well?
No, so the women that I have seen that have went through this, Barbara, would have been like a woman in a possible tribal community or in a time when she was very oppressed, meaning that she was forced to get pregnant without any choice. There was no birth control. She had no control over her own body. This is all the way up to 100 years ago. Women did not have control of their bodies. They were forced impregnated very early. I've seen women in my past life downloads married at 13, having babies at 14, 15, 16, 17. I've seen women dying very young of childbirth-related complications. I've seen women that have had 5 or 6 kids and have all of them get wiped out to I've had yellow fever, scarlet fever. I've had them wiped out by like 3 or 4 different scarlet fever was one. Yellow fever took out all of her children, and so she swore in this life the pain that she carried from losing her 5 children. She survived it somehow, but all of her kids died in this yellow fever epidemic, and she swore that she would not ever go through that pain again. So she made a soul contract to not have any birth in this life. So she was born with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and she had the inability for her fallopian tubes to ever drop the ovum, the egg, down into the uterus to impregnate. And she didn't know why she had been infertile in this life. And when we did the download, she then kind of said, oh, my God, I feel like I knew this somewhere, but I could never explain why I knew this information. And so the souls of her children are not stuck. They're just choosing to go to other mothers in this lifetime, because this is a lifetime where she chose to work on herself and her own healing. And she didn't want to be... she didn't want to be responsible for that much, pain because of what had happened to her.
Well, I wanted to ask you this. Maybe you can comment on this. I had a lady that I spoke with that claims that she had 10 miscarriages. I mean, what would you say with something like that?
I've seen, and I have to these are not my ideas. These are case studies that I'm going by. So when I say this is what I've seen, it's the case studies that I've done with women that allow me to have a response to this. So there's two ways that this can be responded to. The one is that some women that have had 10 miscarriages may just have a malformed uterus or ovaries, or something is not right. Usually that's a tipped uterus, or it's an incompetent cervix that can't hold the pregnancy. So there's physical reasons for this. But then energetically, the whole premise of spirit work is that a soul actually does choose the mother. And I know this is going to bother a lot of people, but, this is the truth of what I have found. The soul, meaning the baby that wants to come down, chooses the mother, but it does not choose the father. So the soul chooses the mother chooses the father through her attraction. So souls can choose to come to a mother, but if a mother is not able to have that soul or house that soul, then, there's times when I've seen a woman have 10 miscarriages, but she really only has one child that keeps trying to come back over and over. So she doesn't have 10 kids. Yeah, she doesn't have 10 kids on the other side. She may have 3 or 4 children on the other side, but each of them took 3 rotations trying to come into the world. But because maybe she has a chromosomal defect and the child would have been born with such profound disability that the child chose to abort the pregnancy and allow it to miscarry. That's common. That's actually very common.
Wow.
Yeah, all miscarriages are a contract between the mother, the child, and the guide, or source, or God, however you want to say it. If a child has a purpose to become the next president or whatever, and the pregnancy that the woman is holding has a malformed or chromosomal issue with that fetus, that baby's body, then that soul will say at 10 or 12 weeks, you know what, we're not going to be able to accomplish our life mission if we continue with this particular body. We need to get out of here. And so they leave the body, and the woman's body responds by having a spontaneous miscarriage, which
I have
is
a question.
Pretty common. Yes.
Do you consider a soul starting at the first heartbeat, or because I have had 3 miscarriages, one where there was a heartbeat for many months, and 2 other ones that the heartbeat never started, but the fetus I was pregnant. So I was wondering this, and I don't know what even this.
So
is it a soul does do with a heartbeat, or is a soul can be without a heartbeat?
Yeah, no, a soul is already complete before it ever comes to earth. So a soul is already complete before the body. These are like 2 ethical questions. So one question I think we might be asking is, does life begin at conception, or does life begin at birth? The physical
heartbeat. I meant heartbeat because the fetus will have a heartbeat, but sometimes it doesn't ever start. Like 2 times my fetuses didn't have the heartbeat, did not start. So then you have a early miscarriage.
Right.
But I mean, you were conceived. So I'm thinking, why not think at conception, I would like to think that. So then maybe I can meet these other souls in heaven someday as their mother.
So how this works is that when you were conceived by your parents, all of your soul did not come into that embryonic stage. You slowly transition your energy little by little, percentages. It would be very boring for a soul to be inside the womb just hearing without being able to see anything or talk or anything. You got to remember, a soul is already a developed person. They're just moving into a baby's body. So that baby is going to be birthed into humanity. The soul already existed before the pregnancy happened. Life begins at conception, but your whole soul does not go into your body when you're birthed. Even when you're birthed, only a percentage of your energy is there because, to be honest, it doesn't take that much energy to eat and sleep and grow. That's the physical body that needs all that energy. So about 10 to 12% of your spiritual self will be in the baby body, and as you grow into your child years, more and more of your spiritual energy comes through your body. And so you kind of walk into yourself around 17, 18, 19, 20. We have many moments where more of our spirit comes into the body. That's what an awakening is. An awakening is where more of your higher self or your higher spiritual energy comes into the adult body, and you're like, wow, what is going on? Like, I know these things. I'm interested in things. My taste changed. My music changed. The things I like and don't like have changed. That's because your higher self is moving more into the physical body.
Okay, so the soul is there, so that's good.
Yeah, the soul is always there. The soul can choose to abort a pregnancy, and that's what happens a lot is the soul is like, this body isn't going to work for my purpose. I'm supposed to be, a Supreme Court, the first female Supreme Court justice, his body's a male. It's not going to work. So sometimes, it's just a mixed match. It's a mixed match of the body of the baby and the soul of the person that is ready to go in.
It's interesting. How many other lifetimes does a person you work on usually have?
Typically I usually see 2 to 3 downloads per person that we need to work on. And I've seen everything from addictions. The addictions are pretty big. I've seen compulsions to steal. I've seen a lot of phobias, a lot. Claustrophobia, fear of driving, fear of choking, fear of things being around the neck. I've seen a lot of women that were burned as witches. I've seen people that were drowned. I've seen people that were hung. I've seen people that were shot. I've seen people that have died in plane crashes, people that have died in war, people that have been starved to death. I've seen people that have gotten a lot of diseases and lived in times where there was no sanitation or medical system that was proper. I've seen domestic abuse a lot. I've seen enslavement of people where they were sold as slaves, not just people of color, but women especially. Women and children have been in slavery since the beginning of time, and we are still trying to extricate ourselves from that. There's really, I'm going to be honest, there's no past life download that is even similar to the next. I've seen people in China, Tibet, India, Africa, the United States. I've had to look up places on a map because I don't have the knowledge of what they're giving me. They'll show me Slovenia. I don't even know where that's at. I have to do the download and then actually get off the download and say, give me a second, I want to look this up. And I'll look it up, and sure enough, there's information relating to the times, the place, the names, or whatever that relate to that person's. I've been taken to ancient Egypt, which is super fascinating.
That's fun.
I've went to, what's that?
How fun for you. It's very fun.
It's the most, I wake up every day.
These people, when they would get a concussion, they would come back or maybe die, like that has happened to you, I think, and then they come back and then they can speak complete fluent language like Chinese or French.
Yeah.
They can completely, so that must Is that from a past life of theirs? It must be.
Absolutely. Yeah, we actually carry all of our past life memories in a place called the Akashic, or the Akash. I call it the Akash, but
I've
the
heard of that,
Akashic record. Yeah, so the Akashic record is actually what I'm reading, but I don't use my own energy to do it. I actually just go straight to the person's guides. So you have guides with you. You have guides with you, Jonathan. And what I do is I go into a trance state where I ask permission from the client, which would be you. Is it okay if I read your Akashic record to see if there's any fears, phobias, or blockages for you? They give me their consent. I say a little prayer for myself. You guys know I'm a Christian, metaphysical Christian. So I say a prayer to protect my energy, and then I go into a channel, which is the same as I do with my mediumship. I don't deal with the dead directly. I deal with angels and guides. So when I'm doing the past life download, I don't want all your information. That's the difference between a download and a regression. I'm not actually asking for all the information about your past lives. I just want to know, where is she stuck? Where is he stuck? Where is he residually creating this energy within his cellular body? And so they'll show me, oh, yeah, the pain is from the car accident. The fear of drowning is because he drowned in that boat crash or whatever. And so when they show me exactly where that energy is stuck and why it is stuck there. And what we do from there is we just start the healing process, and it's phenomenal. I have a woman that's in Canada, and she's actually a very high-powered CEO. She's also a professor, and she does these talks. And she just got her tenure and was going to become a full-fledged professor, but she has a fear of being seen. She goes, Sunshine, every time I go up on a stage, or they're going to photograph me, or they're going to put a camera on me, instantly I don't want to be seen. I want to hide my face. I struggle with anxiety. And she says, I don't know why this is. I'm super confident. I have these degrees. I'm a professor. I'm an engineer. Can you help me? And she says, I also have these nightmares where I'm always hiding from this man. And every time I hide from this man, he's like right around the corner trying to find me, and I'm always running from him. So she's a very powerful woman, very successful, nice house, nice husband, good kids. I mean, she's got all this stuff going for her, and she's very well known. She knows Reiki, energy healing. She's studied up on this. She's traveled the world, and this is a woman who's very adept at dealing with it, but she could not solve this problem on her own. And I told her,
maybe she should wear a scarf.
Yeah.
A scarf.
Right.
Like,
and I said,
was it that way where she wanted to veil herself, maybe?
She just wanted to hide her face. She was like having these nightmares, right? And she was afraid to be seen. And that's what I wrote in my journal. I said, she's afraid to be seen. I said, do you have any phobias? And she goes, yeah, I can't stand my picture to be taken. I can't stand it. I even have a business card, and I won't put my picture on my business card. And she's an attractive woman, so it wasn't like she had something to hide. But when I was talking to her, I said to her, let's go in and see what has happened. So we go into the past life download, and I found out that she had been traded by her father in Old Town, Arizona. It was Old West, Arizona. She had been traded by her father to a man for a team of horses. Her mother had died, and she had a brother, and it was her and her father. And her father had went out west after the mom had passed, kind of used her like a surrogate wife, but he was a drinker and was never very responsible or good to her. He had problems with the mother. He was kind of abusive to the mother, and she was the spitting image of her mom. He ended up selling her for a team of horses. He sold his daughter to a man for a whole team of horses. They were in Arizona, and he wanted to go to California to the gold rush. He sold his daughter when she was
here. It's like they just didn't see some men back then. I mean, many years ago, they just didn't see that a woman had much worth. They thought that they were just like cattle. Or
they were
good
cattle,
for one
yeah. They
thing.
were property, and they could be traded for money.
Okay, so that obviously really affected her, but some people even come back right away.
Yeah, so what happened was she was sold to this man, and the man was a very tall, very shaggy, light-haired, blonde, kind of burnt brown skin, but like light hair. And he was a Danish guy, and he did horse and livery stables and things. And the guy had sold her to him. The father had sold the daughter to this man as a wife. So he married her when she was like 16 and a half, and he forced her to be his wife, and she kept running away from him. And so what he did was he actually branded the side of her face with his mark. He branded her face with a big J on it for his last name, Jacobson or Jacob. I can't remember. I think it's Jacobson. And he branded the right side of her face from the corner of her mouth all the way up the side of her face had a J. So if she ever tried to run away, she'd be easy to be found. And he had a picture taken of her with her face branded. He cut the initials into her face. And anywhere she tried to go, everybody knew that she belonged to him, so she could never run away. And because of that, she was always afraid to be photographed or have the cameras on her, and she also was always afraid of being found. So we were able to do the healing to remove that scar from her face energetically. We healed her face. We did an energetic surgery. We removed that. And we were able to help her be able to take her first photograph and feel proud of herself.
Wow.
Okay, that's a great story. Has there been any people where you couldn't connect, they were resistant to connecting that cord energy with you and you couldn't tap into a past life to heal them? Has there been any testing?
Never.
Oh, good.
No,
okay.
Never.
That must make
people ask the same thing about the mediumships. They ask me, what if you can't connect? That's never happened. I don't know why, but I've never had an issue. And we've done over 150,000 sessions here, and that 150,000 messages. So that means I've done like 20 or 30 a day. Been doing it for 15 years. I do 10 to 30 sessions a week, and I've only not connected to 10 sessions in my whole career. I've had 10 sessions that I either couldn't, wouldn't, or didn't connect. And sometimes it's because the client was drinking. I didn't want to connect. Sometimes the person that I've had two that wanted to connect to a pedophile, which just was not in my energy to do so I just didn't allow the reading to happen, unfortunately. Yep. For the client, not for me. I was happy I didn't connect. I wasn't willing to put my energy out there like that.
Maybe they were a killer, too.
Yeah, there's some, exactly. It was all really, it's because their energy wasn't where it should have been. They were in a totally different space. And I chose to disconnect the session and refund the money.
That's chilling. That is chilling. I bet when you're standing at the post office next to somebody, you can tell if they're a killer or not, right?
You'd be surprised. There's a lot of killers that, they actually say in past life, everybody's either been killed or will kill. That's actually a well-known fact, that you either will kill or you have been killed. Because we've lived a lot of ancient lives where we're living in the first civilized society ever, really. I mean, if you go back just to the Old West, look at people, the gunslingers, and just the way that people treated women, and children were in factories, working in factories 100 years ago.
Oh, I was thinking about the Wild West the whole time. That's so weird. I think John got that vibe, too.
I mean, you look at China, look at the babies that were smothered, the girls that were born, they were just smothered, the daughters. So pretty much everybody's had a death where they were either killed or have killed. But there are some that, yes, I can definitely feel the energy when someone is a natural-born killer. And, yes, let me tell you something unusual.
Steven.
What's that, Jonathan? Go ahead.
Well, it's just that, I was going to read about things have changed. Like, for example, the Westerns, they go out in the middle of the street, and then they draw the gun, and they shoot each other. I mean, but it's like, what? Why? I mean, why even do that?
That's how they handled their disputes. That's the vibrational level we were at. We were like a 2 to 3D reality. Now we're living in 5D, which we're awakening to our purpose. But I tell you what, going back to what Barbara said, you asked me a question, Miss Barb, a minute ago about, I bet if you can tell if someone's standing next to you at the post office, if they have that killer instinct. There is one place that I've been that had more killers in it than any other place, and I could sense it in the people around me, and it was like 30 to 40% of the people there had been murderers or were natural-born killers.
Where was this?
You'd be surprised. Where do you just guess? Huh?
Do tell.
It was a football game, actually. I went to a professional football game in
Ooh.
LA, and I was shocked at how much, I guess, the aggressive sports, like I've never been to a hockey game, so I couldn't testify to that, but the football game, the high aggression level, the testosterone, it's like they're gladiators. They're watching, if there was a lion in there, they'd be more happy to see, the lion just going crazy. But
I agree, but you're extra sensitive to this. But thinking back, I did go to one game there at that old Coliseum in LA, and it's open, and it was. I thought the energy was bad because it was hot as heck that day and miserable with the sun, but it was pretty bad energy. It was weird energy and very huge sleep presence. There was a real dominant, masculine, male, aggressive. Like, I could feel that if people were left on their own, like people from one team would beat the other teams. People had real no control. Like, there is a civilized society, but it's very thin. We live in a good society, but it's a thin veil of civility between a fan from one team and a fan from another team. If there's a little alcohol added and there was no police, I can't imagine what would be happening. Feel that, when you have that many people in a stadium, I don't know what it is, 30,000 people or something, or it's a lot. Could be more.
And you have that many people, maybe even more, because it was full when I went, and it was the Rams were playing the 49ers, and they were two California teams, and each of them had their own kind of like, a lot of diehard fans, and you could feel that energy just wanting to, it was palpable, the anger, the testosterone, and the competitiveness.
You just sometimes don't even want to make eye contact. You don't want to look at the people the wrong way. You feel the vibe like, oh, my God, they're serious. They love their team more than their own kids.
Yeah, my husband had his jersey on for the 49ers, and I could feel the anger from, like, the Rams fans because we were at their stadium. Like, you could feel the energy, just daggers coming at all of us. And I was
I felt that at San Jose. Okay, the 49ers were down there in California for a long time, the 49ers, and I would wear my Seahawks jersey through the airport, traveling from Seattle to home through Oakland and all those places, and I would get the dirtiest looks. They are very serious, the 49ers, about it. Very, very, very serious. So you felt like it wasn't even just testosterone, right? It was like the whole group, even female, their energy too, or just more male?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I couldn't just, it was so many people, I couldn't really distinguish, but I know this. The hair bristled on the back of my neck, and I knew I was in the presence of many killers that would kill, that had killed, and they were very much the old Western type, the gunslingers.
Yes.
The hardcore, they were prisoners, they had been sailors, they had been at sea, they had been pirates. I mean, we're talking like the hardcore people that had been through some very hard lives. Yeah, they carried that energy. And I've been around people. I used to actually bartend in an adult gentleman's club, and I could tell when some of those guys walked in, just the energy. My hair would just stand up on my legs, and I knew that they were such, in a past life, they had been so dangerous, they weren't even on the streets.
Oh, yeah. My dad lived in
Jack the Ripper
Alaska.
Energy. Yeah, the Jack the Ripper energy. I've seen it.
Yes. If in Alaska, oh, man, the frontier up there, my dad was a bush pilot. He could bring kids into the bar because the rules there would be, a lot of the native Indians would go in and get drunk and leave the kids out and freeze in the car because they would get drunk. So they made a special law up there that the kids could go in the bars. So my dad, he thought it was kind of fun, and we'd go have prime rib sitting in the bar together when I'm 13 or 14. But I would just think back in those days, how horrible things like that were. I mean, it was just a fire. It was just a fire. But I would feel my dad's hair prickle up when a guy would come through the door, and then he's like, oh, that's just so-and-so. Oh, he was on high alert, you guys, because of the killer people we were living up amongst, because they are very wilderness and tough people, and can't be around many people, and they have some anger.
No, they can't. They know it too. They know it. And I love Alaska. I love the Alaskan people, and I have nothing to say negative about that, and I don't want to give a bad impression, but I will say this part of it. A lot of people that not necessarily native, right, Inuit and other indigenous peoples, but a lot of people that move there do it to get away from society because they already know they can't handle society. They have a lot of sociopathic ways, and that's why they try to get away from as many people as possible. They don't even want to see another human face. They're that far out there. They just want to kill. They want to hunt for food. Listen, think about this. They want to get away from civilization. They want to kill their own food. They want to slaughter it themselves, eat the meat from it, and that is really, even the hunters have that natural-born killing instinct. It's
It never goes away.
Humans. It never goes away, yeah, and they know that. They live to kill. That's what they do. They live to put meat in the freezer. And I don't think they really, I'm not saying it's a bad instinct. It's a human evolutionary response, but I would tell you that many of these have lived lifetimes in that same way.
That's so interesting. So you were saying that you wanted to do one on me sometime. Do I need to make an appointment with you? Do I go to sunshinefrost.com and it will lead me to the right place to get a hold of you to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
And everybody should listen.
Yep, it's just a past life download. And I go through and I ask 3 sets of questions. Do you have any fears or phobias? Do you have any karmic relationships that keep recycling that you can't let go of, or someone that you're still thinking about? A lot of times your relationships, your marriages, there's karma. And karma is essentially residual energy. And it doesn't mean that it's always bad. It's just residual energy, whether it's bad or good. And it can be, I've had people come to me that had cancer, and they said, why did I get cancer? And I'll tell them, you took it away from your child, or you took it on yourself, or you left somebody that had cancer, and now you asked for this so you can repay the karmic debt. Sometimes people do make those very difficult soul decisions. But once they know the truth and they integrate it, they're always better off. I've never had a client come back to me and say, I wish I hadn't known. Every one of them says, I'm so glad I knew that. Now I can heal the weight loss. Now I have people that are highly overweight that we've figured out why that happened and where it happened, and we've went back and started healing that, and we just see huge results.
Oh, I think that's so great that you're helping people. But on another note, what about you? Say in your daily life, watching TV, do you like getting feelings and thoughts or realizations when you just are watching TV, or are you able to turn it on and off? How is that working for you in your personal life, if you don't mind explaining that?
Yeah, so I don't watch TV. I don't like programming. That's why they call it a channel, because it's filling your mind. That's why they call it a program, because they're programming you. And that's why they call it television. They're giving you a vision of your life. So I'm very cautious about television. And
I got a question.
Yes.
Did you ever do one of these past life downloads for Mr. Sunshine?
No, he's never asked for one, and I've never given him one. I don't do it unless someone asks me, because it does take energy. And, yeah, if they don't ask me, I don't read anybody's energy on the cuff, meaning like without permission, because that's unethical.
All right.
It does take
I was just
energy.
curious.
I can imagine it would take an immense amount of energy. Or you're taking on that person's memory. I mean, you want to do a good job with whatever you're doing. You're in tune to the highest tune you can be, probably. It does take
you want to be in the high. Yes. Yeah, you want to be in the highest good. And I have seen people walk around and just do readings, and they wow the crowd, and what they're doing is completely unethical. You should have not everybody wants to receive your messages. And I went to a psychic school, actually, in Newport, California, called the Church of the Psychic Rose. And it was an institute for psychic development, and I was about 18 when I went there. And I remember them teaching us to go into a sandwich shop and to just take a notebook and sit around and watch people and just read their thoughts and read what they're going through and read them. And I remember just getting the worst headache of my life. And I did this for about a week during these experiments that they had us do. And I noticed everybody else in the group was much older than me, but all of them were getting headaches too. And then I figured out that there was a sequence to the fact of forcing your energy into someone else's auric field or into their energy bubble and pushing your will into their mind is actually harmful to you and to them. That's why the people got a headache. So I told the teacher, I said, I think we've all got a headache because we did something we shouldn't have done. And she was very upset. And she said, what do you think that means? And I go, I don't think you're supposed to read people without permission. And she started laughing like I was just, a young kid and I didn't know anything. And one of the other elderly women that was there, she said, she's about 60 or 70. She goes, no, I think she's right. I don't think it's right to read people's thoughts. And the teacher didn't like me or her.
I felt that too. I think I felt it walking around this earth probably in all of my years that people have tried to read me, and I don't appreciate that when I'm standing in line or at the fair.
Yeah, I don't do that, and people are always afraid of that. Oh, she's always reading you. No, I never read for anybody. In fact, I turn it off intentionally, and the only way I receive downloads for myself is I do pray every day, and I do meditate each day, and I receive most of my downloads actually when I'm sleeping.
Okay, but also you're going to feel energy from everybody, just like anybody would feel energy talking to a person. So, I mean, it's a vibe. Okay, so good, but we just appreciate hearing and you answering these questions and knowing so much about it and doing the studying for us and coming to us with all of this great information that I often do wonder about. So
how do you clear the energy afterward? You're kind of
asking,
like, what kind of self-care do I do?
And there's so much self-care, but the more self-care, especially exercise and movement and then clearing and meditation. I've been doing a mirror work where you tell yourself really positive things and don't even put the negative things into the universe. So how does it work when there is an actor, when they're really taking those lines, but they are feeling it so much, and their brain, you can tell your brain something, and it comes true, manifesting and things like that. So when they're becoming a very horrible character, how are they personally, their soul inside dealing with it?
You're asking me about when an actor takes on a role and how they would feel about that?
Well, when they take on this character, and it's a very bad, mean, horrible character, killer or whatever, and they become that, I mean, how can they...
Yeah, but that's just a role. That is just a role, and they have a choice to kind of slip out of that. When I'm reading for somebody, if I pick up something quite negative, I first of all never have judgment for anybody because we have, like I said before, we've all basically either been killed or have killed or maybe will kill in some form of our lifetime in different lives. And so we release judgment on the soul and we just look at it from a totally objective. So when I go into a reading and there's something quite traumatic, which of course it happens every day, I just had a motorcycle accident that I read for today for the family. But remember that even though for that person it was a traumatic motorcycle accident, when I connected to the young man, his name was Garrett, he was 100% healthy, whole, and complete. He looked beautiful, handsome, radiant. To me, no one is dead. Everyone is alive. On this side, they're alive, and on the other side, they're alive. So I actually don't get negative downloads. I've never had demons attack me. I've never had anything like that. I stay in really high vibrational levels where I communicate to angels and guides. And through that, I'm able to connect to the loved ones that have crossed over to give peace about the soul of that person. So, I do energetic self-care, yes. I take a saint's bath. I do salt water clearings. I go in the sun. I eat a healthy diet. I pray. I meditate. I do all of that, and I teach that. I teach that on my YouTube channel if you guys are interested in that.
I saw you exercising with your teenage boy. That was sweet on your social media. You look so cute. And, you have great genes. Sometimes people with great genes think, oh, I already look good enough. But it's the all of the organs inside that we need to get that blood pumping through our heart, and that feels good. And then I love that you're Christian, and because I am, sometimes I just open the Bible and just have it open around me if I am a little stressed out, and read it, of course, but then leave it open, and somehow that does some kind of special magic.
Yeah, I actually teach a lot of Christian magic and Christian prayers. I actually have a lot of Christian practices. They call them white witches or Christian witches. I don't consider myself a witch, but I do a lot of energetic Christian practices such as protections and ceremonies that are really beautiful. So, yeah, that's all part of clearing the energy.
I love it, and you dance and you joy out with groups of people. Tell us about your most recent, what do you call it, a seminar, or what was it that you most recently did with the group of people?
Yeah, so I just got back from the desert. I was in the Mojave Desert at a place called Joshua Tree in Southern California. It's out by Palm Springs. And once a year they have a festival. It's called the Bhakti Festival, and it means devotion to God, or it's a time to come together and give devotion to God. And for me, it's a time to not do readings or session work or channel for anybody else but myself. And it's a time for me to get back to eating really organic. I drank about 6 gallons of water while I was there, and I do yoga every day. I do prayers and meditations, and then we sing kirtan, which kirtan is a form of praise, and where we sing mantras, and it's very clearing. And yes, there is definitely some dance. There's like consciousness musicians like MC Yogi and many other satsang, and that's the music I don't listen to worldly music. I only really listen to conscious Christian or music that's of a higher vibration.
And how many days was this? It's like a festival.
Yeah, I was there for 5.5 days total.
Yes, and I like the thing about the cleansing with the eating probably of the land more. I could even be a vegetarian sometimes. I just crave the vegetables raw, and then the cleansing with the water. I'm good with the water. I'm getting gallons all the time, you guys. I like the special kiosk places where you can get water. I get a roll of quarters. I take my 2 quarters for 50 cents. I bring my gallon with me. Every day I fill that thing up. So, and then I unload it in another gallon. Every errand I just stop at this place, and otherwise you're paying like $3 to $15 these days for a gallon of water. Well, when you're drinking a gallon a day, that does add up. So in these times, I figure that out. I mean, how are you guys getting your water every day?
I bring it in. I brought 3 5-gallon bottles of water, big 5-gallon bottles, and then
Those are big.
I drink water, and I eat organic rice and vegetables all weekend, and I always feel like a brand new person when I come back from this festival. I mean, it's just a time when I totally tune out of everyone else's energy, and I completely tune into my own. And I become very self-aware and self-evident that my point is to take care of myself. And as women, we take care of everyone else. And as men, we provide for everyone else. And it's very rare that we take time to discover ourselves without the distractions of telephone or the phone or, social media. Everything is so distracting right now. It's hard to get back to yourself.
I do agree, and I'm happy to hear that you took care of yourself, because earlier I was alluding to, you do need to take care of yourself. Plus, the better you are, the better you can for your family, and the better wife you could be and friend and all that. So I'm so glad you had a wonderful time, and I like this music that you're talking about. Where could we hear your favorites? Could we see some social media action on your
my YouTube channel? I'm actually doing a brand new class. I created it. It's called Mantra Dance, and it's like a combination with it's not really yoga, because yoga can be difficult for a lot of people for so many different reasons. I actually struggle with vertigo, so as much as I love yoga, it's difficult to do poses where I'm head down. And a lot of my friends struggle with that as well, with weak joints or back issues. So I created something called Mantra Dance, which is going to be an affirmation-style dance class. So it's gentle yogic movements with mantras that we sing, and it's put to music, and I'm going to be putting some of those on my YouTube channel coming up soon. So follow me at Sunshine Frost on YouTube as well. That's where a lot of my daily, I have like cleansing, how you could do prayers, how you could program your water, how do you know a relationship is expiring, if you're in an old timeline, maybe it's some from your past life. I have so many beautiful teachings on the YouTube channel, and if you want to book a reading, then you go to the same, which is Sunshine Frost, but it's just .com.
Okay, wow, I do really love that. It's really everything. So sometimes I forget, okay, and then I'm so confused. Which one should I work on first? It doesn't matter. Just contact you, and you walk everybody through their own personal journey through healing, and you have everything at your fingertips, and so much research has gone into it. But it's such a joy, isn't it, to work on this and be able to manifest this in life and give to other people that they're not tapped into because for some reason it's some kind of other layer or thing that if they feel like they can't see it, they don't believe it, but it is there. I mean, there's so many obvious signs. So I love tapping into it more and more. But it's not easy because even just sitting down and trying to meditate for even a minute and just empty your brain, which is so much even better than sleeping. Sleeping is not the same as meditation, correct?
Yes, ma'am. No. One is intentional avoidance of distractions, and the other one is just a biological response. Sleep is just something we biologically need to do. But actually, the mantra dance is a meditation class. It's something called active meditation that my clients really love, is that I teach active meditation. I don't teach that we should clear our mind. I teach that we should create intention with our mind.
Is this a complimentary class, or of course we will subscribe, and Life After Happiness, of course, already has. But for the listeners out there, if they subscribe to your YouTube channel, is this a complimentary class, or is this something that they are able to pay for?
I'm going to have some free downloads on there, and then what I'll start doing is making some Zoom classes as people show interest, and we'll start going from there. There's a lot of free stuff. I haven't asked anybody to subscribe to the channel yet. When I create some courses for subscription, then I'll let everybody know, and I'll come on the YouTube channel and let them know. And, of course, I still go daily on TikTok, which is Spirit Doctor, Spirit DR, Sunshine Frost.
Well, just like a sample of it would be fun, but I am so interested in doing it because sometimes I do have a hard time, and I'm supposed to be doing this every day, Sunshine, with this class my friend signed me up for. She wanted me to do it with her, called Magnetize Your Dreams. And I'm supposed to just text in every day that I've done my meditation. And they only ask for a minute at first because they know it's so hard. But you're supposed to really love yourself and look in the mirror and say great things about yourself, not negative things. And what happens to a person when they do fall into that and they say downer things, and all throughout the day they're saying some negative things? Does this really magnetize bad things to come and more bad? How does that work?
Yeah, it's called it's actually the second law of universal. It's the actual second of the universal laws, and it's called the law of affinity. And the law of affinity says that everything that is once thought as a thought form is magnetic and attracts many other thought forms to it. So whether positive or negative, whatever you believe, you create the thought, which creates the form, then creates reality. So, yes, that is absolutely correct. It's spiritual law.
That's going on. A lot is going on, throughout your day then, because a lot of people have a lot of different thoughts throughout the day, up and down sometimes, and bing, bong, bang. Everywhere.
If you're going to control the world, you first control your mind, and then you control your mouth.
Okay.
Everything else falls into place after that.
Maybe think 3 seconds before you speak, but it could be a little bit
need
boring.
About 10, but yeah.
Right, you need 10, but that gets to be like a slow back and forth conversation, right?
Well, you know
so
what we learned at
pass.
Bhakti? You know what I learned at Bhakti? The one thing I always try to remember and I come back to, and I think that's the biggest thing I get from Bhakti Fest, is that when you listen with love and when you speak with love and you act with love, your life will become a manifestation of the love you truly desire.
Oh, well, that is very beautiful. It's something good that we could take away with us as we close our show tonight. Thank you so much, Sunshine. And we look forward to logging on to sunshinefrost.com to go in many different directions wherever we're supposed to go with you. And we
there's three paths, Barbara, to simplify it. If you're having some issues in your life and you just want some guidance, I have a life reading. It's very simple. If you're thinking maybe you have past life trauma or some blockages, there's a past life reading. And if you really want to connect to a loved one that you've lost, that's also very easy. It's an oracle reading. And so really there's only 3, and the descriptions are there, Miss Barbara. It's pretty easy. You actually book all of your readings online. You pay online. You pick your time. It's all automated. Sends you a link through your email, and you connect with me through Zoom all over the world. It's very simple.
I like your TikTok as well.
Thank you.
Because we can see you. And, hey, listeners, you don't get to see her right now. You only get to hear her. But wait till you see her, if you haven't already. Is a gorgeous, beautiful blonde. And you know what? It was so funny. You told me last time that you're very, very tall. I literally thought you were always petite. Isn't that weird? Because I just see your TikToks and your things that you send in, but I'm not standing next to you, right? Tell everybody about it. You're Nordic and you're like tall, right?
Yes.
How tall?
Yes, I'm the vegan Viking. I'm about 6'1" in heels, and in boots I'm around 6 foot tall. Yeah, and I don't look that tall because I'm proportioned correctly.
I have another beautiful blonde 6 foot tall friend who always calls in, don't I, Johnny Robin from Seattle. And hey, you guys somehow find the hottest, biggest, burliest, coolest guys as partners. And by the way, send our love to Mr. Sunshine. And
I will.
Awesome. I can't wait to meet you in real life. And hopefully Johnny, too, will come over from Florida and meet you in real life at one of these wonderful festivals, and we can wear our white. And, hey, I've always dreamt of doing stuff like that around the campfire.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward. I'm actually going to be in Sedona, Arizona with the One Tribe, which is my group. You know, I'm leader of the One Tribe all over the world. We are a soul collective seeking to heal ourselves and spread love into the whole world. And we're actually going to be meeting in Sedona, Arizona, October 17th to the 20th. It is a free event. I hope everybody comes to Sedona. We're going to actually baptize ourselves in the river to really receive some higher love and to release old limiting beliefs and choices and mistakes of the past. We don't need to live with that. We just want to baptize ourselves. We're going to be meditating at the Peace Park. We're going to be breaking bread, having a drum circle. So if you're anywhere, we have people coming from Washington, from Massachusetts, Texas, California. I'm going to be making the 7-hour drive out to Sedona. It's that one weekend. You could stay in a campground. You know, the itinerary is on my website. Just come join us. We'd love to have you. We're excited about it. So, yeah.
Okay, I will also tell my dad and his girlfriend, they love road trips, and they have a beautiful trailer and all that kind of thing. And they're always doing kind of interesting things like that with people. They are. And, oh, my daughter's, like, smiling. She's like, yep. Yeah, they would be perfect candidates for that. Of course, if I could be there, I will. Thank you so much, Sunshine, and everybody. Go to sunshinefrost.com. We always appreciate you. Also, thank you for following us on Blog Talk Radio and listening to Life After Habit.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, guys. Much love to all of your viewers. Jonathan, Barbara, you made my night. I love you guys, and I can't wait to see you again.
And you made ours.
You.
Okay. Good night, Sunshine. Good night, everybody.